When I picked this cow's foot up, I didn't have to go looking for the problem because it was right there peeking out at me. Welcome back to Nate the Hoof Guy. This is what's known as a sole ulcer, and that is when the corium protrudes through that hard hoof horn and becomes visible. That access point has also allowed digital dermatitis to work its way up onto that heel, so as we remove this hoof, it's going to be much easier to see all of this area that's been affected. Now you'll notice with this cow and many other cows that have sole ulcers that they have real deep, thick heels. Now early on, it was theorized that this extra heel growth was what caused these ulcers. Thicker heels putting more pressure on that heel, therefore causing the ulcer. However, what we found is that is not at all the case. In fact, that thick heel is a result of that ulcer forming, because there's too much pressure on that heel from a shallow hoof angle, that's what puts that pressure, increases that pressure in that area. And to compensate for that, she begins to walk on her toes to try to take pressure off of that heel. That's when that heel becomes thick. Eventually, she can't take that pressure off. That's when we start to see that lameness. And then that is when we find these ulcers there. So what do we have to do? We're going to bring this back down to a normal heel height, pare away any of the loose horn, and of course, yes, put a block on that other claw to elevate that one off the ground, give it time to rest, and for all of that heel horn to fill back in. Now, if you notice where that ulcer is, directly above that is where that digital dermatitis is. That area that I'm dabbing right now works its way up into that heel. The only reason that that dermatitis is there at all is because of that access point provided by that ulceration. Because that bacteria was able to get in there and work its way in and around that ulcer itself, it then spread in that undermined horn all the way up into the heel. That's common with digital dermatitis. All it really needs is an access point. Once it has that, then those bacteria can colonize and begin to spread throughout that entire area. So when you have protrusions like this, what you want to do is try to thin that hoof horn around it as thin as possible without going through, obviously, because we want to make that hoof horn as pliable as possible. That way, this has the highest chance of healing and not pinching on that ulcer itself. That, coupled with a block on the other claw, along with some salicylic acid, that's going to take away the digital dermatitis. The block's going to take the pressure off of that claw, and then that corium will heal and new hoof horn will begin to grow. And yes, there are other dangers I must be aware of when working at the back end of a cow. Now the key part here is we have to get this area really clean. All these little nooks and crannies can harbor the bacteria that cause digital dermatitis. So that's why I always use a lot of chlorhexidine, get this area rinsed out thoroughly so I know I don't have to worry about that. Here you can get a good look at that. You can see the protrusion here, and you can see how that dermatitis has worked its way up onto that heel. Now, thorough wash down and a salicylic acid wrap is in order. A recent commenter asked about the antibacterial properties of salicylic acid. And while it doesn't actually kill those bacteria, what it does is create an inhospitable environment due to its pH, and that's what keeps those bacteria from growing in that particular area. Now that we got this foot wrapped up, we can let her go, and we'll see her in a couple of weeks and see how she's doing. And that is all for today. As always, thanks for watching, and we will see you all on the next one.